Lana Evers had it all. Beauty, love, and a dream wedding just hours away. But one drink, one cruel betrayal, and one stranger's bed turned her world into ashes. Her own sister drugged her fiancé exposed her, and the man she mistook for love now holds her future. What happens when everything you built is destroyed overnight? Will Lana fall or rise stronger than ever? This is a story of heartbreak, secrets, and an unexpected baby that changes everything. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. The sun spilled golden light across the skyline of Lagos as the Evers family's motorcade curved into the entrance of the Royal Meridian Hotel. Passers-by paused, phones raised, murmuring in awe at the fleet of luxury cars and the sheer elegance of the event unfolding before them. At the heart of the scene was Lana Evers, stepping gracefully from a sleek ivory limousine. Her tailored jumpsuit shimmered with gold embroidery. Her heels clicked against the polished marble, and her braided updo caught the light like a crown. Gasps followed her as if she were royalty. Beside her stood Caleb Hart, her fiancé and one of the city's most eligible bachelors. His hand rested protectively on the small of her back, his smile warm and proud. "Only the best for my future wife," he whispered, his lips brushing her temple. Lana's eyes sparkled with joy as she squeezed his hand. "This place is breathtaking," she murmured, her voice trembling slightly, not from nerves but from overwhelming happiness. From a distance, Jade Evers watched them, her crimson lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. As always, her sister had managed to steal the spotlight without even trying. Lana was everything, graceful, beloved, perfect. And now, she was about to marry the man Jade had secretly loved for years. Rage simmered beneath her designer dress, but Jade masked it well. She stepped forward and threw her arms around Lana. "Sister, this wedding is going to be unforgettable," she declared, her tone sweet as sugar. Lana beamed, completely unaware of the storm that brewed behind those hazel eyes. "Of course it will," she replied. "You planned half of it." If only she knew. If only she suspected. The bridal shower was held in the hotel's sky ballroom, a breathtaking space draped in sheer white fabric and adorned with roses in shades of blush and ivory. Chandeliers twinkled overhead and soft jazz filled the air like champagne bubbles. Lana was surrounded by friends and family, laughter echoing as gifts were unwrapped and toasts were made in her honor. She was glowing, utterly radiant. "This is the best night of my life," she gushed, raising her glass with a laugh that rang pure and joyful. "I can't believe I'm marrying Caleb tomorrow." Jade leaned in, her own glass in hand, her smile stretching wider. "Drink up, sis. Tonight's your last as a single woman." With a practiced flick of her wrist, she poured more champagne into Lana's glass, and a clear, tasteless liquid from a vial hidden in her purse. No one noticed. Lana didn't hesitate. She sipped, giggled, and sipped again. The warmth of celebration soon shifted into a strange fuzziness, a heaviness in her limbs. Her laughter began to slur at the edges. "I feel a little dizzy," she said, touching her temple. "But I'm fine." "Of course you are," Jade murmured, voice smooth as silk. "Let's get you upstairs. You need rest before the big day." The crowd cheered and clinked glasses as Lana waved goodbye, leaning heavily on Jade as they walked down the gilded hallway. She didn't notice her sister clutching a keycard tighter in her palm, nor the way Jade's eyes glinted as they neared the elevators. "Where's Caleb?" Lana whispered. "He's waiting for you," Jade answered, guiding her into the elevator with practiced calm. "He said he wanted to see you. Just the two of you." Lana smiled dreamily, her mind foggy and warm. "I just want to feel his arms around me one more time before we say I do." The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. Jade led her to Suite 1803, a penthouse reserved for Malik Stone, a billionaire businessman known for his wealth, power, and notorious private life. Jade had bribed the concierge for access and ensured Malik was expecting a guest for the night. Slipping the keycard in, she opened the door and whispered, "Go on in. He's waiting." Lana stumbled forward, eyes half closed, body swaying as she crossed the threshold. The door closed behind her with a quiet click, and Jade leaned her back against it, exhaling slowly, a satisfied smirk tugging at her lips. "Sweet dreams, sister," she whispered to the silence. "By morning, your perfect little world will be ashes." The suite was a palace in the sky, walls adorned with sleek art, floors blanketed in thick velvet rugs, and a panoramic view of Lagos glowing under the night sky. Malik Stone stood in front of the bar, sipping a glass of whiskey as he adjusted the towel slung low on his waist. He had just stepped out of the shower, steam still curling behind him from the bathroom door. He wasn't typically the kind of man who called for company, but tonight had worn on him a broken business deal, a betrayal from someone close. He needed a distraction, something, or someone, to make him forget. When the door creaked open and a woman stepped in, Malik turned slowly, expecting some overpriced socialite dressed to impress. Instead, what he saw made his brows rise. She was beautiful, breathtakingly so, her figure silhouetted in the dim light, hair tousled like she had stepped out of a dream. Her eyes were half closed, heavy with intoxication, but she moved with purpose, or perhaps confusion. She swayed, whispering hoarsely, "Caleb." Malik blinked, confused. "Come again?" She didn't answer. Her gaze found him, tall, bare-chested, dark and broad, and in her hazy, drugged state, her heart skipped. "I need you tonight," she whispered, stumbling toward him, arms outstretched like a sleepwalker. "Please, I don't want to wait." Malik froze. For a moment, he considered stopping her, asking questions, clarifying, but the desperation in her voice, the tremble in her lips, the raw longing in her eyes, it was too real. She reached for him, pressing her body to his, and he felt the heat between them like electricity. Whoever she wasn't faking it. "You sure about this?" he asked, gently holding her face in his hands, eyes searching hers for any sign of hesitation. She nodded, tears pooling at the corners of her eyes. "Make me yours," she whispered, voice thick with longing and confusion. "Promise me you'll never leave me." A name fluttered across her lips again, Caleb, but Malik let it go. If she wanted fantasy, he'd be her escape. Their lips met, softly at first, then with rising urgency. Malik tasted champagne and something achingly innocent. She clung to him like he was her anchor, her hands tracing the lines of his shoulders, down his chest, gasping softly with every inch. Her touch was hesitant and hungry, her body hot and pliable beneath his as he scooped her up and carried her to the massive bed. He laid her down gently, taking his time as if she might vanish if he moved too fast. Her dress slipped off one shoulder, exposing porcelain skin flushed with warmth. "You're beautiful," he murmured, brushing her collarbone with his lips. "Show me," she whispered. The night unfolded like a slow burn, her sighs soft and surrendering, his kisses trailing over skin she didn't know she was offering to a stranger. He memorized the way she whispered, "I love you," and clung to him as if she was falling through time. And still the Caleb echoed again and again like a ghost in the dark. The next morning, Lana stirred beneath silken sheets that weren't hers. Her head pounded, her limbs felt heavy, but she was warm, wrapped in strong arms, and for a split second, she smiled. "Caleb." Her mind whispered the name like a prayer. Then the voice shattered everything. "You're awake." She bolted upright. The man beside her was not Caleb. Her eyes went wide, her body recoiled. Panic surged like a tidal wave. She clutched the sheet to her chest and gasped, Who are you?" Malik sat up, unfazed, his chiseled torso glistening faintly under the morning light. "Relax, sweetheart," he said, raking a hand through his dark hair. "You don't remember?" Lana's heart thudded so violently she thought it might explode. Her brain scrambled, images from the night before piecing together with sickening clarity. The bridal shower, the dizziness, the elevator, the wrong room, a stranger's body, her own voice, pleading, believing. She staggered out of the bed, trembling. "This can't be happening." "I thought you knew," Malik said, more confused now than amused. "You called me Caleb, several times." Her legs threatened to give out. She felt bile rise in her throat. No. I'm getting married today. This is a mistake." She grabbed her phone. 3 hours left. 3 hours until she was supposed to walk down the aisle. But last night had just torn her future to shreds. Malik stood silently as she clutched her clothes and ran, leaving nothing behind, except a piece of herself she'd never get back. Lana stumbled into her suite, her breath ragged, the world spinning around her. The hotel corridor behind her stretched like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. She barely managed to kick the door shut before her legs gave out. Her knees hit the marble floor as she tried to breathe, just breathe. The soft rustle of her wedding dress hanging by the window mocked her. It gleamed like a cruel joke, untouched, pristine, waiting for a bride who had unknowingly spent the night in another man's bed. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her phone on the nightstand, praying for some kind of anchor. But before she could do anything, a cold voice cut through the silence. "Where were you?" She froze. Slowly, Lana turned around. Caleb was sitting on the edge of the bed, still in his dress shirt from last night, sleeves rolled up, his tie askew. He looked like he hadn't slept. His phone glowed in his hand, and his jaw was tight, clenched hard enough to crack. "Caleb," she whispered, her throat dry. "I had too much to drink at the shower. I must have wandered into the wrong suite." His laughter was sudden, sharp, and devoid of humor. It chilled her to the bone. He stood, his eyes locked on hers, and without a word, he turned the phone around. The blood drained from Lana's face. On the screen was a video. The man she'd mistaken for Caleb. Their bodies tangled together beneath the sheets, her voice breathless with moans, her hands clutching him, pleading. The passion, the desperation, it was all there. "No," she choked, stepping back. "Where did you get that? Who sent you that?" Caleb didn't answer right away. He stared at her with the kind of disappointment that felt worse than rage. "Does it matter?" he asked, his voice hollow. "I know what you did." "It wasn't what it looked like," she cried. "I didn't know. I thought it was you. Caleb, I swear to God, I was drugged." He snapped. "So now it's someone else's fault?" His voice cracked as he stepped toward her. "You couldn't even tell the difference between me and a stranger? You were moaning his name, Lana. You were begging him." Tears spilled down her face. "I love you, Caleb. Please. I love you." He pulled his hand away when she tried to touch him, as if her skin burned him. "You call that love? Sleeping with another man hours before our wedding? You humiliated me. You disgust me." "No, no, please," she sobbed, reaching out again. "This was a mistake. I didn't mean for this to happen. We can fix it." But he was already shaking his head, his jaw clenched, his eyes ice cold. "There's nothing to fix." He grabbed his jacket, moved to the door. Her voice cracked. "Don't do this. Caleb, please." He turned to her once more, something like heartbreak flickering in his gaze. "It's over, Lana." The door slammed shut. Silence followed. Lana dropped to her knees, the tears now coming in torrents. Her wedding day was supposed to be the beginning of everything beautiful. Instead, it was the end. The end of love. The end of the life she had imagined. The end of who she thought she was. Her phone buzzed. Still on the floor, hands shaking, she reached for it and saw an unknown number flashing across the screen. A message. "Did you enjoy your last night as a bride-to-be? Oops, looks like you're single now. Poor Caleb." Her stomach twisted violently. She read it again, disbelief turning into icy clarity. Only one person could be that cruel. Jade. Fury ignited in her chest. How could she? Her own sister. Her blood. Her confidante. She remembered the way Jade had smiled last night, the way she had handed her drinks, the way she had whispered, "He's waiting for you." All of it had been calculated. Her phone nearly slipped from her hand as rage overtook sorrow. This wasn't just betrayal, it was destruction. And it had come from someone who shared her childhood, her secrets, her dreams. Lana rose, weak but fueled by anger, and stormed down the hallway. The hem of her robe trailed behind her like smoke. She didn't knock when she reached Jade's suite. She pounded. The door opened slowly. Jade stood there in a silk robe, a glass of orange juice in her hand, her expression calm, collected. She blinked with feigned confusion. "Aren't you supposed to be getting married?" "You did this?" Lana hissed, shoving her way inside. "You drugged me. You sent that video. You ruined my life." Jade's smile curled into something sharp. "And what if I did?" she said sweetly, shutting the door behind them. "What are you going to do about it?" Lana stared at her sister, chest heaving, heart pounding so loudly she thought it might break through her ribs. "Why?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Why would you do this to me?" Jade's gaze didn't falter. She took a slow sip of her juice, then set the glass down on the table with a quiet clink. "You want to know why?" she said, almost laughing. "Because I got tired of watching you win." Lana shook her head, her eyes burning. "You're my sister." "No," Jade said, stepping closer, her smile twisting into something cold. "I'm your shadow, the one who stood behind you while you soaked in the spotlight, the one who watched every man, including Caleb, fall for you like they were under some damn spell. I never tried to compete with you, but you always won." Jade's voice rose sharply, then dropped into a bitter whisper. You didn't even have to try. Caleb used to look at me like I meant something, until you walked into the room. Lana's breath hitched. Her worst fear had just become reality. You wanted him. Jade tilted her head. I didn't just want him. I deserved him. You destroyed everything, Lana said, her voice cracking. My wedding, my life. For what? A man who never loved you. Oh, please, Jade spat. You had it all. The perfect dress, the perfect ring, the perfect life. I gave you a new beginning, Lana. Now you're free. Lana took a shaky step back, her voice low. You didn't free me. You ruined me. But Jade wasn't listening anymore. She walked to the window, pulling open the curtains and letting the sunlight pour into the room. You always were dramatic, she muttered. You'll survive. You always do. Lana stared at her sister, realizing in that moment that Jade had never truly loved her. Not as a sibling, not as a friend. The hatred ran too deep. It had festered over years, hidden beneath fake smiles and polite family dinners, and now it had finally erupted. Without another word, Lana turned and left the suite, her legs shaking beneath her, her chest hollow. She didn't look back. She couldn't. If she did, she'd break again. And she was done breaking. The next few days blurred together. She left Lagos without telling anyone. No goodbye to Caleb. No confrontation with her parents. Just silence. She needed space, distance, somewhere to breathe without the echo of betrayal in every corner. She found a small apartment in a quiet coastal town. It wasn't glamorous, but it was safe, and for the first time in weeks, she slept. But peace was short-lived. It started with fatigue, then the nausea. At first, she blamed the stress, the heartbreak, but when her period didn't come, something inside her whispered a possibility she refused to hear. Still, she bought a test. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the white stick like it might explode. Then, 2 pink lines. Positive. Her breath caught. The world shifted. She placed a trembling hand on her stomach, the realization sinking in. A baby. His baby. Malik's. Tears slipped down her cheeks, not of sadness, not of fear, but something else. A strange, fragile strength unfurling inside her. She wasn't just a broken bride anymore. She was a mother, a protector. This wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered. But maybe it's what I needed. She didn't want revenge anymore. Not really. Jade could keep her cruelty. Caleb could keep his pride. Lena had something none of them could touch now. A future. And yet, her gaze fell on her phone. Robert Adwell. She had saved his number, never intending to use it. But now, her fingers hovered over the screen. He deserved to know. He hadn't meant to hurt her. He had been a part of Jade's plan, just like her. And this baby wasn't just hers. With a deep breath, she pressed call. The line rang once, twice. Then, his voice, deep, calm. Lana. Her name on his lips sent a shiver down her spine. Hi, Robert, she said softly. There was a pause, then his voice again. I didn't expect to hear from you. She let out a shaky laugh. Yeah, I didn't expect a call. Why did you? Her hand drifted instinctively to her stomach. I'm pregnant. Silence. Long, heavy. She almost hung up, almost apologized and pretended the call never happened. But then his voice came through again. Steady, firm. Where are you? She blinked. Why? Because, he said slowly, you're carrying my child, and I don't walk away from my responsibilities. Her heart pounded. Everything had just changed again. Lana stood by the window, the phone still pressed against her ear, the soft whoosh of the sea breeze wrapping around her like a second breath. Robert's words echoed through her head. I don't walk away from my responsibilities. She had expected shock, maybe even denial. But not this, not steady concern wrapped in quiet command. She had called to inform him to close a chapter. Instead, something new had been opened, and she wasn't sure she was ready to walk through it. I don't want anything from you, she said finally, her voice low, guarded. I can raise this baby on my own. I'm not offering charity, Lana, Robert replied calmly. I'm offering what's mine, what's ours. Just tell me where you are. She hesitated, eyes narrowing. Why do you care? There was a pause on the line then, because someone set you up, and I don't take betrayal lightly. That was the first crack in her wall. It wasn't the baby, or the guilt, or even the weight of her own shame. It was hearing someone say it out loud. Someone saw her, someone believed her. And that someone just happened to be the last man on earth she ever expected to trust. The next day, Robert arrived. He didn't show up with fanfare, no entourage, just a quiet knock at the door of her modest apartment. his 6-foot frame leaning in the doorway, a black coat slung over his arm, and eyes that no longer held that billionaire chill. They looked tired. Real. Lana let him in without a word. She didn't know what to expect. Maybe he didn't either. They sat across from each other at the tiny kitchen table, the silence stretching between them. Finally, Robert pulled a folder from his coat. "I've had my people look into the video." Lana's breath caught. "What?" "It wasn't just sent to Caleb," he said, opening the folder. "It was uploaded, quietly, to an anonymous forum. Encrypted, but traceable." She pressed a hand to her stomach, bile rising in her throat. "It's still out there?" Robert shook his head. "No, it's been wiped. I had my tech team bury it, but the IP address that first posted it, it wasn't just from the hotel." Her eyes lifted. "Then where?" He met her gaze. "Caleb's home Wi-Fi." The air left her lungs. It didn't make sense. Jade had orchestrated everything, hadn't she? But Caleb, he had received the video, played the part of the heartbroken fiancé, left her crying in the ruins. Why would he upload it? "Maybe he wanted the world to see it," Robert said softly. "To punish you. Or maybe he and Jade weren't strangers to each other's schemes." Lana sat back, her thoughts spinning. It was too much, too cruel. Robert leaned forward, voice calm but firm. "Let me help you take them down. I don't want you looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life." "I'm not interested in revenge," she whispered. "But you are interested in protecting your child," he said, nodding toward her belly. That shut her up. Robert reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box and sliding it across the table. She stared at it, heart skipping. "What is that?" "Not what you think," he smirked faintly. "Open it." Inside was a bracelet, simple, elegant, but the tag inside read custom GPS tracker, panic signal enabled. "Robert," she murmured, overwhelmed, "I don't ever want you to feel powerless again." Something cracked inside her then. Not pain, not rage, but something warm and terrifying. Safety. Over the next few weeks, Robert remained close, not hovering, not pushing, but present. He helped her find a lawyer, arranged for a private doctor, even made quiet calls that led to Caleb losing a major investor and Jade being investigated for cybercrime. Lana didn't ask for details. She didn't want to know. All she needed was peace. And then one afternoon, she felt a flutter, a soft kick inside her belly. She gasped, her hand flying to her stomach, tears welling in her eyes. "You feel that?" she whispered. Robert, standing nearby, turned. "What?" She grabbed his hand and placed it on her belly. After a moment, the baby kicked again. His eyes widened, his breath caught, and then he smiled. Not the cocky smirk she'd first met, but something deeper. Real. "She's strong," he said. Lana blinked. "She?" He shrugged. "Just a feeling." She laughed softly, and for the first time in what felt like forever, it didn't hurt to smile. They stood there in the golden light of sunset, two people stitched together by accident, betrayal, and something beginning to bloom. Something that might, in time, become love. Life doesn't always unravel the way we plan it. Lana's story is a painful reminder that betrayal can come from those closest to us, that love can shatter in a single moment, and that even the most beautiful days can collapse into ruin. But it's also a powerful testament to resilience. Lana was torn apart by her sister's envy, by a fiancé's cruelty, and by a night she never meant to live. But she rose. She didn't let heartbreak define her. She chose strength over revenge, truth over shame, and motherhood over bitterness. This story teaches us that even when others try to ruin us, we still have the power to decide what comes next. The worst betrayal doesn't get to write our final chapter. Sometimes life gives us something unexpected, something unplanned, and that becomes the very thing that saves us. Lana didn't just survive, she transformed. And through her courage, she found a new beginning, a new purpose, and perhaps a new kind of love. So if you've ever felt broken, used, or betrayed, remember this. Your pain doesn't define you. Your power lies in how you choose to rebuild. Where are you watching this story from? Drop your city or country in the comments. We'd love to know. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a powerful, emotional story like this again. More unforgettable tales are on the way.